Hi, I'm Bruce Boyd. I'm with the Nevada County Historical Landmark Commission, and I'm here with Tom Browning. He's the Deputy Chief from North San Juan Fire Protection District, and he's a longtime resident of Nevada County, and I thought it'd be really good to hear his story. So I want Tom to go ahead and kind of talk about how your family came to Nevada County.
Well, thank you, Bruce, and for the invitation. I'm a sixth generation Nevada County resident. Grew up in the French Corral area near North San Juan. My family moved from Sierra County down to French Corral in 1866. They were farmers. They supported the mining industry with row crops and fruit trees and different products like that. That's how they made their living. We've always had animals on the ranch to sustain the ranch. Cows for beef, cows for milk, chickens with eggs, and all that kind of thing. Been in our family history forever.
Did they come from England, or where did they immigrate from?
My great grandmother's side came from France. They were French.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they had moved over. Their name was Mounier. So if you go back through some old records, the Mounier family in Sierra County, near Sierra City, just between Downeyville and Sierra City, they had a ranch up there. And then they said, wow, it's not a long enough growing season. So moved to French Corral where they could grow row crops and do those things.
Okay, so I understand that a lot of French came to Malakoff early on to mine, and that actually in Malakoff, French was the language of choice there. And then I'd also heard that French Corral was called the breadbasket of the ridge, basically, because you could grow fruit trees there and various things like that. Is that part of the early history?
Yeah, part of my family's history, one of their major crops was figs.
Figs.
They could dry figs and then ship them around the world as a product. So my great-grandfather was very much into that.
So how did you move into ranching?
Well, so that was just all part of it. You can't rely on one crop to sustain your livelihood.
Yeah.
So they grew vegetables in the springtime and summer and sold those to the miners. And actually my great-grandfather, the Browning side of the family, was a teamster. So he drove wagon trains basically across Bridgeport and up to the mine. And that's how he met my great-grandmother. She was working in the field tending the row crops, and he said, well, there's a cute girl, I'll stop and talk to her. So they started courting by him just meeting her out in the field working.
So was he working for the Kneebones at Bridgeport, or?
No, so
There's a lot of history back there.
That's a little later history.
Oh, okay.
So one of my great-grandmother's sisters married into the Kneebone family.
Okay.
And they actually ran the stage stop at Bridgeport, and they were responsible for turning that into a tourist attraction. So people from the valley could come up and camp there and recreate and do those things at Bridgeport. Yeah, so that's how we got tied into the Kneebone family.
Wow. What was the route that your great-great-grandfather was running?
So it was primarily from the valley, where they would haul products for the mine and come up Pleasant Valley Road across Bridgeport, up through the Hennis Pass and up Oak Tree Road into Graniteville, into that area and across.
Oh.
Yeah, and there's stories of, they would have 20 horses pulling the wagon trains, and they'd be going at night up the Bridgeport grade, and you could hear a noise, but not sure what it was, and then pretty soon the light of another coach would pass you, so these horses are passing each other in the dark going up that grade and doing that, yeah.
And that's basically Pleasant Valley Road.
Pleasant Valley Road, yes.
Yeah, dangerous road.
Yeah, a little narrower than it is today, and certainly all dirt, but yeah, you just think about 20 horses pulling a wagon up that and 20 horses coming down, and it's hard to pass a car on that road today.
Wow. So what was it like growing up in French Corral?
So yeah, my family, of course, lived there and grew up there, and it was certainly different than today. And we still have the house that I grew up in. It's part of my property now. But it was a smaller community, and you knew everyone. And I can remember if you heard a car coming down the road, you got up and looked to see who it was because you knew who was driving down Pleasant Valley Road. Yes, and you never locked a door.
Yeah.
We didn't even have keys to our house.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
When did power come to?
Well, power was there when I grew up.
When you grew up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly when it came in here.
And there was a group, let's see, you went to North San Juan schools?
Yes, so in the beginning, when I started in grammar school, it was in North San Juan. It was a first grade through the 8th grade. And it kind of interesting, I still remember, we had one school bus. Frank Bigelow was the school bus driver, part of the Bigelow family that has the property at the intersection of Birchville Road and Pleasant Valley Road. Frank had an incredible history. He was a minor league baseball pitcher, and he was a butcher, and he raised cattle, and but he would drive it. It was an old panel van. That was our bus, and for his first stop, he picked up in French Corral, and there was a kid by the name of John Perry, and he was about 6 foot tall in grammar school. So he had to sit in the front because he was a big.
So he got the seat.
But yeah, so when the bus pulled up, he would have to open his door, fold the seat down so you could walk in. That there's only one door on the side of the panel, and then go back in and sit down in the bus. Yeah.
And then you got on at where your grandfather's house was, basically.
Well, actually, where my parents' house was, the next
Oh.
house down.
Oh.
That's where I would be waiting and get on the bus. And first day of school, my mother would be there to take pictures, and Frank would stop the bus and get off and take a picture with me and go into the first grade of school.
And I understand, like, the Millhouse family, they went to North Columbia School. Where was the divide there?
So the school districts have, they're divided by the sections, and they still are today. So, for example, my house where I grew up in as a kid was in the North San Juan School District. My current house, my grandparents' house, which is less than a half mile up Pleasant Valley Road, is actually in the Nevada City School District.
Yeah.
So, and those people in that Sweetland area by Peterson's Corner, all of those were in the Nevada City School District.
Huh.
The Readers, who I grew up with,
Yes.
Nevada City School District, they all went to Seven Hills School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at that time, North San Juan was its own school district, and then the Columbia Hill had its own school district. They were separate, and then of course, Nevada City.
What did you do in the snow? What school was?
So it snowed. It seemed like it snowed more. You know, there would certainly be occasions when, you know, at our home we would have 2 feet of snow, and it would last for a couple weeks, and things would close down. You would stay home.
You
And,
would stay home.
yeah. But it was not uncommon that you would be without power for 2 weeks, and you got by with that. You had snow to keep the ice chest full, to keep the food fresh, and you had water from a spring to
Yeah. Were there other ranchers besides your family? I mean,
So yeah, the Reeder Ranch, they started in 1863, so they were 3 years ahead of us. you
oh,
know.
this is a big deal.
Yeah, big deal back then, right? And as it turned out, you know, Francis Reeder and his wife Yolanda, and my grandparents, Bill and Cecilia Brown, they were very good friends. You know, played cards together regularly, and of course, you know, I went to school with their siblings and grew up, and we still have a strong relationship there.
And your uncle Pat, is he still ranching? Or?
So Pat lives in French Corral, and he actually has the original property that my great grandfather settled in 1866 as part of his ranch. They still have that property. He still raises cows. He has a sawmill and has a dozer, and he's 86 years old and still out working every day.
That's great. So when did you decide or get interested in the fire?
So, as ranchers, as a young child, we would do vegetation management burns, VMP or prescribed burns. So I got to know fire people and the process. So every year, one of the ranches would have a burn. So
This is as a teenager or?
even younger.
Younger.
Yeah. So it was just part of life. And so if we were burning our property, then all the other ranchers would come and assist. So then we'd wait 2 or 3 years before we reburned it again, but maybe next year the readers were having a burn and we would all be there burning with them. And then the mill house would have a burn and we would burn with them. So I got interested in prescribed fire and the burning process at a very young age. And it was part of the necessity in order to maintain your ranch. That's
Yeah.
what you had to do to clear the brush so that you could grow grass, so you could raise cattle.
So you were burning pasture, basically.
Creating pasture by removing invasive species. The manzanita, the Scotch broom, that's
Yeah.
a whole other story. I don't know
Yeah.
if we're going there, but yeah.
Well, that's a good story. I think, you want to tell that story of how Scotch broom kind of,
So there's a lot of stories about Scotch broom, but the world's first long distance phone line was in French Corral. It went
Yes.
from French Corral up towards Jackson Meadows in the early days, and it was used to regulate the hydraulic water coming down in order to do the mining that was going on. That was why the phone line was put in. But when my father was part of a local historic society in North San Juan, and they went through some of the old phone records, and they found where the people that owned the ranch where Ananda is now had called Scotland and ordered a plant because they'd been back there on vacation. They thought it was beautiful. So they ordered a live plant, and it was shipped to them to Ananda. There's a lot of stories about it was used for packing of bottles and things of that nature when they came over, and I'm sure that occurred. But the live plant was ordered from the ranch where Ananda is now, and that's what created the spread of what we have today.
yeah. Because I heard it was a Forest Service program to, after a fire, that they would plant Scotch broom. But
I
guess
don't think that happened.
Yeah.
They replant trees, but I don't know that they'd ever planted
Yeah.
Scotch broom. But it's still
A
an
weed.
invasive species that we're dealing with today.
Yeah, incredibly flammable. Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
So then you went to school in Grass Valley?
So I started my education in North San Juan. That was the 1st through 8th grade. We had 2 teachers for 8 grades. And in my claim to fame, and I told my kids, I was the smartest kid in the 3rd grade. Because I was the only student in the 3rd grade. So, but I reminded them that I was number 1.
You're number 1.
In about, I think 1968 or so, the school district was so small, we had just a small number of students, that our board of directors of the school district did an interdistrict agreement with the Nevada City School District. So the grades 5 through 8 all went to Seven Hills School in the Nevada City School District. So when I was in the 6th grade, I started at Seven Hills. So I actually graduated from Seven Hills in the 8th grade, and also received a diploma from North San Juan for graduating from North San Juan.
That was a bus ride.
A bus ride every day,
Every
yes,
day.
yes.
Okay, so you didn't then kind of live in Grass Valley
No,
while you
but
were going to school?
we lived in the same place we lived. Well,
Even
actually,
in
we
high
lived
school?
Even in high school, yes. Yeah.
Interesting. So when did you graduate from?
So I graduated in 1974, yeah, and then went to Sierra College, and my job through high school, I worked for Marion Godoti, well known, the Godoti Foundation. She owned a cattle ranch on Pitney Springs in Pleasant Valley, and I worked there for 6 years. So I worked there after school and on weekends, irrigating, maintaining the ranch, and doing those things that I did at home for nothing, and I got paid. And I think I was getting like $1.25 an hour. It was a big deal, and worked my way through there. In 1974, as soon as I graduated from high school, I got a job with the California Division of Forestry, CDF, or CAL FIRE that we call it now.
Yeah.
And part of that was I knew the ranger, who's now called a battalion chief. And when I submitted my application, I said, "Oh, you're one of the ranch boys that help us out on prescribed burns." So myself and Bob Reeder, we both got a job at Columbia Hill and worked at that station. And so I would work there during the summer, and then in the fall, I went back and worked at the ranch for Marion Godoti. And actually lived in the cabin there it was the old milking house for the old barn, and I lived there and kind of did some supervision for her, and And then I was going to Sierra College, so I'd get up early in the morning, go out and change the irrigation, and drive to Sierra College, and come back in the afternoon and change the irrigation again. And
So what's
work
early in the morning for a rancher?
well, you get up at 5 and go out and
Yeah.
do the work. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was no Sierra College in Grass Valley then, so you had to drive to the Rockland campus.
So was there any CAL FIRE training that you went through in those early years?
Oh yeah, so before you went on, it's similar to today, you have to go through a basic wildland training. So before you went to the station, you went to an academy per se.
Oh,
And that was held at Higgins Corner in those days. And
Oh,
so
okay.
we'd go to that, and for beginning firefighters, it was a 2-week academy that you went through before they assigned you to the station. And I never forget my first day assigned at Columbia Hill. We go up there and we have our things, and they're orientating us to what the process is. They say, all right, get on the engine, we need to go to town to do some work on the truck. And I think in those days, they were putting roll bars on the engine, so in case there was an accident, you wouldn't get squashed in the back. So our engine didn't have that, so we were driving to Nevada City to drop that engine off to do that. And you sat in the back in the open, and we got to about where the root center is now, and the red light came on, spinning on top of the cabin. Well, we must be going to a fire. No communications, you couldn't hear anything, and the siren comes on, and we cross the freeway and go out Willow Valley Road and had a structure fire. My first day at work, and got out
Really?
and pulling hose around and we were the first engine on scene.
so you didn't hear, but somebody in the cab?
Oh, the people in the cab had a radio so they
Yeah.
could hear what was going on. But the three of us sitting in the back seat and just said,
Yeah.
well, we're here for the ride, you know.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, so that was pretty exciting.
That was a good way to start.
Yeah. I worked 2 years for them, and then I said, well, I want to see what the U.S. Forest Service is like. So I applied for them and then worked at White Cloud for the U.S. Forest Service on the engine. My first day at work, the U.S. Forest Service, we're opening the station. First day in the summer, and the engineer came out and said, well, pack your bags, we're going to Arizona to a fire tonight. I was, okay, this is great. So we showed up at the supervisor's office at midnight and took a bus down to Sacramento, and they had chartered a PSA airline, and we flew to Arizona, and we got off there, and there were just hundreds of firefighters everywhere, and I'm going, wow, this is what it's like to work for the U.S. Forest Service. You go all over the country to fight fires. The fire we were going to in New Mexico got contained, so they were going to return us home. And then they broke a new fire down by Douglas, Arizona, near the Mexico border. So they took the Tahoe crew and another crew, and we went down there and worked on a fire up in the Coronado National Forest for a couple of weeks, and then came home.
What were the engines like back then?
So at White Cloud, our engine was called a Model 50, which was an international flatbed truck with a slip-on pump unit.
Really?
Yeah.
How
So
much water could it hold?
we had 300 gallons of water,
300 gallons.
1,200 feet of hose,
And four-person crew?
5. The Forest Service always had 5 people on an engine, so it was well staffed. But the 3 firefighters had to sit in the back. Yeah, out
It
in
was
the
open, yeah.
Yeah, it was open. You had a
Were you
seat
strapped in?
belt. You had a seat belt.
Yeah.
I usually sat in the middle because the other 2 guys chewed tobacco and they'd spit out the side. And if I was sitting on the side, they might turn the wrong way, and you didn't want to be there. So, yeah.
Were you the youngest always on the crew?
Because I started at age 17 when I graduated high school.
Yeah.
So in the second year there were some movements, some promotions, and I was actually promoted to be the engineer, the second in charge of the engine,
Oh.
and I was the youngest person on the crew.
So you became the driver?
So three days a week, so we worked 5 days a week, 5 8-hour days for the Forest Service. So 3 days a week I'd be the driver, and the captain would be on the other side. And then on the captain's day off, I would sit in the captain's seat and be responsible for the engine
Uh-huh. Interesting.
at 19 years old.
19?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Just threw the work at you, basically.
If it was there and I had an opportunity, I took it and did it, yeah.
Yeah. So when did you work for Grass Valley?
So while I was on that engine crew, one of the person who was a driver of the engine when I was a firefighter, he was one of the assistant chiefs in Grass Valley Volunteer Department. And I got married in 1976. So I was living in Grass Valley in an apartment building. He said, you need to join the Grass Valley Fire Department. So That year I joined the Grass Valley Fire Department. It's actually in February of '77 I joined Grass Valley and became a volunteer member with them. And
it was pretty much all volunteer
100% volunteer.
at that time.
Yes.
And I heard that there were pull stations around town. Were they still operational when?
The boxes?
The boxes?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So originally, the way you received a call was it came across your telephone. So the phone would ring, and you were set up with a telephone company that the phone would ring, and then you got up and answered the phone.
Okay.
So, and it was interesting because you picked the phone up, it kept ringing. And then when it was done ringing, they'd tell you where the fire was, and you go. Then we got plectrons, which were large box-type radios, and those would alert us to a call. But if the plectron went off, and then the horn was honking from a pull box, you know you had a good call.
Okay. And the pull boxes you could locate where the fire was from the location.
Right, so they were a series of 3 alarms, so 3 different tones. So it would have like maybe a 1, 2, 3. So you'd hear a total of 4 honks or 4 beeps, and you could look at a chart and say, oh, that's at the corner of Walsh and Auburn Street. So that's where you knew where to go. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we're running out of time here. I was hoping to get to some other stories of yours, Tom, especially your stories fighting big fires with CAL FIRE, but maybe we could do that another time.
Yeah. During my career, when I was on Grass Valley, of course you promote and you take classes and you get certified to do different level of firefighting. But I was a member of an incident management team that goes out to large fires and manages those and puts a plan together about how you're going to attack those fires. I'm currently still a member of a federal incident management team. I'm an operations section chief with them, which basically is in charge of all the people on the ground fighting the fire.
Right, which could be up to 1,000 firefighters or
Oh yeah, or more. Yeah, depending on the complexity of the fire.
big fires.
Yeah, very big.
Yeah. Yeah.
The team might have over 100 people on it, just to coordinate, put the plan together, communicate with everyone, and make sure that we're all in coordination on what we're doing. So, it's been a very interesting and exciting career. I've certainly enjoyed all the opportunities I've had.
It's really important to have you out there with your experience on those big fires. It makes a difference in how safe they are for firefighters.
It is a team approach. Operation sections may have 4 or 5 operation section chiefs. You have a day shift, a night shift, a planning shift that puts the plan together, a communications chief that will coordinate with the PIOs and the logistic officers and all of that information that's going on about the fire. It's certainly changed from when I started.
Yeah. And now there are drones flying overhead.
We have drones that give us information. We have drones that can do firing operation for us, and it's
Helicopters
very
and
exciting.
bombers. And, yeah.
One of the biggest changes we're experiencing right now is helicopters that can drop at night.
Oh,
We do a lot of firefighting at night because the intensity of the fire is usually a little less.
down.
Gives us an opportunity to get in where it's safe to do so to try and contain the fire. Yeah. Been a very interesting and
Yeah.
career.
Yes.
And I certainly enjoy my time with North San Juan. It's
Right.
it's still a volunteer organization, paid call, if you will. But we have 34 people on the roster right now. 2 new people showed up last night to put their application in
Wow.
to be part of the organization we have to protect our community. And probably what drives me the most is to see young people come in and want to learn.
Yes.
And that inspires me.
I know the reputation of the training program at North San Juan is fantastic.
We're doing a very good job.
Yeah.
And it's really tough for people that work a full-time job
Yeah.
to come in on every Wednesday night and train and then sign up and cover shifts so we maintain coverage for the district. We have a great group of people there.
And usually means that the family is supportive too. of
They
that.
have to be, yeah. We always say your family comes first, your job comes second, and then the volunteer fire department comes third. And that's all true unless there's a fire and then it becomes first. And everything else goes second.
Well, whenever I ask one of those volunteer firefighters why they do it, they said it's because I want to serve my community, and it's just it's a wonderful spirit.
Yes,
Really wonderful.
yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you, Tom.
Well, thank you for having me. I certainly enjoyed it.
Thank you. This has been really good, and I'd really like to get to hear your story about sheltering in place in that fire up by Shasta. That was a little exciting for you.
Absolutely.
Sometime we'll do that.
All right, very
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right, Billy.